World, this job had me so messed up, but it broke my heart to have to leave it. I've made like 4 YouTube videos at this point, and I realized that I don't be introducing myself. So hi, my name is Imani. I am an artist and an esthetician trying to figure my way out in life, and I just thought I should hop on and talk about my experience working with this paint party company. Yeah, to give a little backstory on myself, I was in school at the time for visual arts, and I wanted a job that would be somewhat in my field or something artistic, right? I was doing aesthetic services on the side, but I wanted something that was more aligned with what I was going to school for, which was the arts. I applied to this place and they hosted paint parties, and I was like, let me just see if I can, get this job. And indeed I did get the job. The hiring process was super smooth. The owner seemed really nice. When I interviewed with the manager, she seemed pretty nice. She was a little awkward, but it wasn't anything I had a red flag about. In the interview though, by the end of it, after explaining all the procedures and what they do, it was like the easiest interview ever, really. She gave me this canvas and paint and some brushes that I could work with to let them know or let them see if I could paint. So I did my little painting and I sent it to the owner, and she basically hired me pretty quickly. I was actually super excited about the job. I was like, okay, I think this is gonna be fun. Now, I will say that the first paint party I had, I was nervous because I had never hosted before at all. But what gave me the reassurance is when I had the paint party, it was a really small, like it was a group of 4 and it was a family. The mom was like, if you ever question if this was something you're supposed to do, this is it. And I was just like, oh, like that makes me feel great. Like I had an excellent first day, an excellent first paint party. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I found my perfect job. Everything was lovely until it wasn't. So the first thing I started to notice was the owner was leaving me off the schedule for a couple weeks at a time. She did let me know that over the summer they got a little slower. And in my mind, I was thinking that the summer would be like booming because people are like trying to do all the fun things. Kids are out of school, teachers are off, all the things. But she said that the busiest time was during the holidays at the end of the year. But when she said that, when I was like in my onboarding process, I didn't think that it would be that many weeks off at a time, you know? I don't think I said anything to her at the time, and I noticed that other people were getting hours, but I don't know. Mind you, just give you a little context to this too, I was the only Black girl there. So yeah, if you kind of see where I'm going with this, yeah, I'm thinking it might have been something with that too. I don't know. I don't know. Things eventually picked up and I was starting to do more classes, and I felt like a natural at it. I felt like this was just like my perfect job. I would do my pre-paints and send them on and teach my classes when I had them and all the things. One thing that I did notice on top of just being off for a couple weeks at a time was that some of my classes would get canceled because there just weren't many people that were booking it. If she didn't have a certain amount of people booking the class, she would go ahead and just cancel it. So that happened a few times while I was working there too, which in turn hurts us because, we don't get paid for doing that. Anyway, I think the next big thing that happened was when I had this really huge paint party and I was left completely unprepared. It wasn't I wasn't unprepared on my part. It was an issue with the manager. I don't know, she didn't do the stencils beforehand, or I don't know what happened. But basically in the paint parties, we have stencils, and the stencils you'll put on the canvas to trace so that you can just, populate the canvases quicker, right? Now, this particular paint party I was getting ready to have, it was 20 plus people. And whenever you have over a certain amount of people, you have to have an assistant to help you. The assistant did come to help me later, but before I got there extremely early just to make sure that I was prepared. And even with me getting there early, having the assistant, I still ended up being late because I was missing a stencil. And not just one, I was missing 2. Being as it takes time to create stencils, and then it takes time to prepare for the class, it takes time to copy the stencils on each of the canvases, that took a lot more time than just getting there an hour before. Like anytime we had a paint party like that where we had a stencil, we'd have to get there an hour before if you're the host. Now the assistant gets there maybe like 30 minutes before, but anyway, I literally was like rummaging through trying to find these stencils, couldn't find it, and I was like, okay, let me go ahead and just create one. So by having to do that, in addition to tracing them on each of the canvases, it took so much longer. Like if I would have known, I would have gotten there even earlier to just make sure I was prepared. And when trying to contact like the group, like with the manager, the owner and all of that, they were kind of dismissive of that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got so many people coming. Like I said, I have my assistant coming, but even with all of us both of us putting our backs into it, we're still running behind because there was no stencil made beforehand. So it left us kind of messed up. And this was my first time having a canvas with like both a female and a male put together. So it really made me feel away because I was like, wow, I'm in a bind and y'all are just like dismissive of it, like, you know, do what you gotta do. And I was literally like frazzled in the class because I'm like, you know, I'm so sorry, y'all. We're trying to get it together. It's just, you know, we're trying to just get all these canvases up so y'all can go ahead and do the painting and everything. They were really understanding of it, which I totally appreciate. I just don't like looking unprepared, especially if it wasn't my fault. After the paint party, I was like, you know, that's strange, but it's definitely noted. I know that y'all would leave me hanging in a situation like this because at the end of the day, y'all were supposed to have the stencils prepared anyway. So that way, when I come in my hour early, I'm getting all the utensils and things out. I'm tracing them on the canvases and I'm ready to rock and roll by the time the class starts. So, okay, the next thing was my coworkers. My coworkers, like I said, I was the only Black girl there. My coworkers were all white, and some of them were really cool. Some of them were kind of like strange. Like there was one in particular that I would try to talk to her, and she would be kind of quiet until guests came in. And I was like, you know, and she would talk to me more once guests were in there. So it felt like she was putting more of a front on instead of genuinely like talking to me as a person. Like I would come in and be like, hey, how are you? And, you know, whatever, just, you know, try to be nice. And she really wouldn't ask me how I was. She would just, I'm good. Oh, okay. I'm just like, okay. And then I had another coworker that was like trying to micromanage me, kind of. But it was like after I had gotten the experience, like at the beginning, you know, you need your help and you're trying to figure out the ropes and stuff. But after a certain point, sometimes when she would check on me, it would feel more like she was trying to check to see if I knew what I was doing versus checking on me out of like genuine concern. So having those things happen, it wasn't like the deal breaker, but it was something I was noticing and it was making me feel like a little bit uncomfortable, but it was something I could tolerate. The next thing I noticed was that there were 2 times the back door was left unlocked and I wasn't aware of it until I went in the back. The first time I was there with the manager and she left out the back and she didn't say that she was gonna need the door locked back behind her. I just so happened to go back there and see that the door was unlocked. And I was like, and I was by myself. So I was like, you know, why did she leave the door unlocked? But I'm thinking, let me charge it to her head, not her heart. Let me just, you know, lock it back. But then there was another time that I came in early to prepare for my class and the manager and the owner were there. They left out the back and they left it unlocked. And I didn't know it. And I was the only person there. So if anybody came in from the back, I wouldn't have known until I went back there. And I thought that was so strange because I'm like, how does the owner and the manager forget to lock the door? And like I said, I'm the only one here. And again, I'm a Black girl, the only Black girl here. So if anything would have happened, y'all probably would have blamed me for it. How do y'all both leave the door unlocked? You know, and the way the shop was like set up was the front was where you would come in or where guests would come in and everything. And we would do the paint parties there. And then you go down this hall and then you take a left and there's a back. But the hall was like it wasn't a super long hall, but it was long enough. And it was so long to where if someone were to come in from the back, I wouldn't be able to hear them, to give you some context of like how that is. So that was kind of scary. And I was like, why would they both not remember to lock the door? So I started wondering, like, am I like being set up or something? Who knows? But the first time I charged it to the manager's mind and not her heart. The second time it was weird because both the manager and the owner were there. And they were on us about making sure to remember to keep the back door locked because anybody could come in through the back door. And honestly, where it was is it didn't feel like an unsafe area, but I don't assume that everywhere is like super safe. And we would have parties at night. So if someone's not remembering to lock the door, that then becomes a hazard or a danger because you never know. Like somebody could be just going behind the back of the plaza just trying to see whose door is unlocked. Like it could have been disastrous, really. It gets worse. So the next thing I noticed was that we were missing materials. So there would be several times where we would be missing some paint or like certain colors, or we'd be missing some pre-paint canvases, we would be missing table paper, etc. And honestly, the straw that broke the camel's back for me, or one of them anyway, was one of my last parties where I needed some table paper and it was something else I needed. But I asked about it and they were, oh, no, it was some napkins. You cannot have a paint party without napkins. Just FYI, you need to be able to dry your hands, etc. So I reached out to the owner. Well, I reached out to the whole group and I was like, hey, we're out of napkins and I have a class coming up. Nobody responded. When I tell you my class was like within the next 20 minutes, yeah, I had no napkins, or I had just enough. And really, it wasn't enough. I had to make it enough. But there was another class after mine, and she wasn't going to have any at all. So I'm reaching out to the owner and everything. I call her, and I'm like, hey, like, what am I supposed to do? No answer, right? So then maybe, I think, I think it was right after my class that there was something going on with the money from a class that was before mine. Or no, it was my own class. I had two classes that day, right? So one of the first class I had, it was something going on with the money. As soon as I said it was something going on with the money, the manager then responded. She completely ignored my message about missing some things, like some paper towels, which is so needed for a paint party. She ignored that and got back with me about the money. And then I would notice that she would be kind of smart, or it sounded like she was being smart in the messages too. There were several times where I was left hanging, but in that particular situation, by you completely blatantly not responding to me about something that's needed to even perform the class, and then you respond to me about some money you completely ignore it. Like I was so like taken aback from that. Y'all would literally leave me hanging. Like literally. It got to the point where because there were no paper towels or napkins or whatever, my co-worker had to run to the store and go get some paper towels on behalf of her class because she was not going to have any. And I was just like, this is crazy. Put the icing on the cake though. My checks got shortened twice during the duration of being there. And the thing is, I was not there long at all. My checks got shortened twice. The first time I noticed that my check was short, it was shortened by, I don't remember, it might have been like $30 or something like that, but still. I reached out to the manager and she goes back and forth with me about it. And I literally had to go back to the messages. I think that it was dealing with some pre-paints. Pre-paints, we got paid maybe like an hour or so to do the pre-paints, like outside of the classes. We could do the pre-paints at home. So I sent her the pictures of them. And the thing is, I only know what pre-paints to do when you send me what needs a pre-paint. So the owner sends out the pre-paints that are needed, and then we as the workers complete them, send her pictures of them, and then that way she pays us when it's time to pay us for them. When I told her that I was missing some money from doing the pre-paint, she was like, these already had pre-paints. Why did you do these? And I sent her a message. I sent her a screenshot of what she sent me. And I'm like, you told me to do these? And that was the thing, is we had gone back and forth before I even sent her the screenshot, because I was like, she was just like not believing me. So I sent her the proof. And she was like, well, it would be corrected shortly. No, I'm sorry. No, oh, I totally messed up, or nothing. It was very dry and insincere. And the second time it happened was the final time, because I was taken aback by her shortening my check the first time and not even being apologetic for it. The second time, she shorted me even more. She shorted me an entire class. So on her end, she's able to see all of the classes that are there for the month, and that way she calculates how much we actually get paid. Now, when I looked at my projected check, I was like, yeah, this is off by a lot. I reached out to her and I said, hey, I'm missing a class on so-and-so date. She gets back with me very cold, similar to the first time. She didn't argue with me back and forth this time, but she just basically sent me a list of the classes I had, and she said it'll be corrected now. Like, no, I'm sorry, no, I messed up, or oh, this was a complete accident, my bad, nothing. Just, and I was like, okay, noted. So y'all are shortening my checks, and this happened within like a month and a half span. Y'all leave the door unlocked and I'm not aware of it. That's happened twice since me being there. And y'all are honest about, making sure that back door is locked, because anybody can come back there, right? Then I'm having some weird encounters with my coworkers. I'm in need of supplies. Y'all aren't being able to, or y'all aren't responding until there's money on the line. If I need y'all support with something, if I need a stencil to be done and y'all know what's coming up and y'all don't do it, that sets me further behind and it makes me look bad. I was like, you know what? I've had it. As much as I love to do this job, I don't know if y'all are trying to sabotage me or trying to just get me out of there, or I don't know what it is with y'all. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to let it go, because I don't want my checks to keep being shortened. I don't want to be missing a couple weeks of work. I don't want no attitudes with you from correcting you about my checks being shortened. I don't want to be worried about if I'm gonna have enough supplies to do my job. It was just, by no means was it an easy decision, because I literally loved doing what I was doing. But at the end of the day, I'm like, it's starting to stress me out. And if I can't go to work and do my job correctly because I'm missing things, and if you're giving me like attitude because I'm correcting you about things that you missed, yeah, I'm gonna have to let you go. And to be real with you, it really hurt my feelings to have to let it go, because I felt like I had finally found something that I literally loved and adored doing. I did not mind going in the evenings. I did not mind being there a little extra long. I didn't mind it at all. I enjoyed all the people that I was instructing. I found out that I do love to instruct, and it just went sour. And like I said, I was the only black girl there, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm being set up. I don't know if you think I can't count. I don't know if you think that I just can pull napkins out my behind. Like, I don't know what you expecting from me, but I let it go on very, very short notice, because I knew that she didn't care about me, really. And I did nothing to her. Like, I was a daggone good employee. If anybody needed their stuff switched, I was taking it so that it would be easier on everybody. I literally just enjoyed it, and I willingly did stuff. And to be treated like that, I felt slighted. I was so upset the last day. I blocked all of them. I didn't want to hear from them no more. Like, I mean, no more. So ultimately, a good thing happened out of it, or came out of it. I was able to discover that I'm good at hosting paint parties. I can actually instruct people to do art. And it gave me a good balance of doing more fun art versus fine art. I was so used to doing so much like fine art that it gave me maybe like a rigidness or something. But going to teach these paint parties, it took the rigidness out. Nothing had to be super perfect. So it helped me with establishing a balance between the two. Like I can create fine art and I can also create fun art. There's a time and a place for everything. So it helped me to realize that, yeah, I need a balance. I need to be able to wiggle in and out of the two. It also taught me to keep standing up for myself, because people will take advantage and will run over you, and they will go as far as you let them. So at the end of the day, because I love teaching paint parties and things, I want to actually do that more frequently. So I'm going to start working on establishing my own set of paint parties, because I want to do it. And here's the gag though. They're not even in business anymore. That's the gag. So like I said, I don't wish any harm, or I didn't wish that their business was shut down or anything like that. I didn't wish that at all. But it's a little funny that after I left and not too long after, the business closed down. So, like Nene said, you can't win when you're playing dirty. When you're doing dirty, you can't win. So that's that. I just wanted to get on here and share my story about being played at a job that I adored. So if you've ever experienced anything like this, like leave it down in the chat. I want to hear your story. If you enjoyed me, or if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching up until this point. I hope you got some insight as to how people get down, and just also remember to prioritize yourself. If something don't feel right and it's consistently not right, maybe it's time to shift and move. So yeah, but if you do me a favor, I would so appreciate if you like this video and subscribe. I'm gonna keep posting, and I may post more story times because I have more stories to tell. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.